questions about everything. It's your job to answer the questions for the kids. Because I can tell you one thing, if that situation was different, if that kid came up and asked Snoop, yo, Uncle Snoop, Granddad Snoop, whatever, how do I talk to girls? I bet you got to answer for that question.
Sure.
Yo, Uncle Snoop, how do I get money? How do I rap? I bet you got to answer for that question because you've thought about it. You've considered it. And you've made a value system about what a young man should learn. Do you think it's even important that a young man learns how to be a good member of his community for the people in his community that are marginalized or persecuted? Is that even important to you? Is it important to you that a young man knows how to protect the people in his society or community that are not protected? Does that even matter to you? Because if it matters to you, then you'll be gleeful and happy to take that question on and make another good person. So whenever you make the decision to bitch about shit like this, you're making the decision to undergird the status quo, and I don't fuck with it. I think it's lazy. I think it's ridiculous, and it's not just in the situation of Snoop. I think everybody who asks lazy, homophobic, idiotic questions like this, that you fall into the same fucking
You
trough.
said the word. It's homophobic. That's what it is. It is a homophobic thought. It is a homophobic comment that was made. And everything that you said is true and it's right. Because it's not that he's going to answer the questions about a woman or about money or about rapping because he's thought about it. It's that it's not just that he's thought about it, he's comfortable with those things. He likes those things. The reason he didn't want to talk about these things is because they make him uncomfortable. He has some sort of issue with it, which makes these comments homophobic. That's what it is. You have to call it like it is. And so for that, because it's that, it goes beyond disappointing. Because here's the thing. Let's just say I don't know with certainty, but I'm pretty sure his grandchild has watched The Lion King. That means that if you watch that movie, or for any parent whose kid watched this movie and maybe they had a problem with it and they watched something like The Lion King, that means that you deal with death in a very tragic way. Your child is most likely going to ask you about death. It's probably the first time they're going to see it, maybe. It's traumatic, it's gut wrenching, and you have to explain death to a child. There are other things.
All right, so let's forgive the dude cutting his grass if the mic is picking all that up. That's a good ass mic if it is. But so I just saw this morning that there was a situation with Snoop, and as outrage culture goes, as these culture war things happen, and standard, it was gonna be a big deal. I just rolled over and like, yo, I saw the clip of it first, then I saw a picture of Snoop, Fox running with their little area of it, and then the first commentary I heard, which I knew was gonna be a thing, is bitch ass Van Lathen and his co-host who paid that white man reparations, Lindsey, whatever her name is. They were having a conversation about it. Of course, in snowflake, nigga, hall monitor fashion, because that's what Van Lathen is. I'm gonna do a new segment with all these hall monitor niggas. That's pretty much all the far left black folks, all the overly liberal black people on the internet, from Mark Lamont Hill, FD Signifier, for Harriet, all those people that's over there on Olay and Friends, them niggas, right? Hall monitor niggas. They just want to police blackness, anything traditional, patriarchal, heterosexual, just normal shit. They are anti that, and they're going to make you the enemy. But anyways, I'm watching this situation, and of course, I already knew that Van was going to be a bitch ass about the situation and be a hall monitor. He called himself that. That phrase, hall monitor niggas, comes from him saying, we monitor, what's going on in the culture. We monitor what's being said. We're thought policing people, and we're going to chastise them for not thinking the way we think. But anyways, in this clip, Van calls him homophobic. He says all this stuff about it's his responsibility, in particular not just Snoop, but black men, to teach their kids about these things and all that stuff. No, it's not. He's the grandfather, first of all. He's not the father or the parent of the kid. I have two nieces. My brother's mad liberal and all that shit. And I know if I was in that situation, I wouldn't say anything to him about it. One, he's not going to like what I'm going to say anyways, and nor with Van or Lindsey. But two, that's his responsibility. I'm going to come back and be like, yo, your kid had little questions about this, blah, 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 whatever. But then I didn't see a complaint. I didn't see a bitching. I saw him saying, yo, I went to the movies to see a movie with my grandkid, trying to create this moment, these memories with him, which that kid's going to remember that for the rest of his life. And now that this moment is going to go viral, he's probably even going to remember it even more. But I'm saying, I remember the first movie I saw in the theater with my grandparents. It was freaking Ricochet with Denzel Washington. Probably shouldn't have been watching that, but that was the first movie. I can vividly remember my grandfather asleep, as usual, and my grandma talking to the damn theater when she shouldn't be, being embarrassing. and I was a little kid. I was maybe not even 6 yet, maybe 5. But anyways, that was the first movie I saw. So he's creating memories with his grandparents. Then boom, he probably didn't read the memo that the go woke, go bro, all the crying and complaining to the people on the right doing because of the gayness and all the weird stuff they're trying to put in these cartoons to introduce your kids to this situation a lot younger. So he has a problem with it. I mean, he has an issue saying, like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to explain this to the kid. I'm just here to watch the movie with my grandkid, create these moments and the memories. Van says, no, out of that, he's homophobic, which again, I'm not saying that he's not or whatever, I don't know, but based off that, you're saying he's homophobic and he's lazy and all this other stuff. Like, that's not his place to do that, for one. Two, like, you would think that I would give credit to the parent and say, how would you want to handle his son or daughter? I don't know who's the kid belongs to, if it's his daughter's or his son's kid, but that would be the respectful thing to do as a grandparent. I don't know how you feel or you think. Generally, the grandparents have different views on these issues than the parents, right? So Van gets all but hurt in his feelings because he didn't go explain this, and then he made it about marginalized people and all the other bullshit. Ain't got nothing to do with none of that. It's Disney or Pixar at the time trying to indoctrinate children to certain things, expose them to them younger. And I'm not saying that in a bad thing. I'm just saying they want more exposure to these lifestyles and this situation. So they're going to put it in your TV and the movies. I remember years ago I used to say, because all the black folks who used to be on some, mad at people dating opposite race and their kids, and then, the women who move their kids to the suburbs and then be mad when they son come home with a white girl. Like, you moved them to fucking, McKinley University out in the middle of nowhere where population of black is only 5 and all 90% of the teams, the sports teams, is all black. What you thought he was going to come home with, but there was talk heavily about this in the early 2000s about that, and I'm just like, you worried about them coming home with a different race? The way the shit is being promoted and programmed in these shows and music and stuff like that, you better be cognizant that they're going to come home with the same gender. Been saying that. But this home monitor shit from the left, like, I just don't, my whole philosophy, even when dealing with them, is just like, they on what they on, and I don't care. They're overly LGBT stuff. They're more promotion of matriarchy. The end of it. They all hate capitalism, but they all on YouTube making money, participating in it. All that stuff, I'm fine with them feeling that way and thinking that way and being on that. The problem I have is they're not fine with those of us who don't subscribe to that living our own lives. They feel like they have to dictate and police our lives and chastise us. I'm going to publicly call Snoop Dogg a homophobe because he didn't want to explain to his grandchild how a cartoon character, both of the same genders, had a baby. Huh? In that moment, what? I remember when I worked at Save a Lot. This was early 2000s, and I was in high school, and a Hispanic girl was in there with her mom shopping, and the 2 white gay dudes was shopping for some meat. Pause. Now they were at the meat section, and the little girl was all like in the maze, like they holding hands, they not kissing but being affectionate, touchy-touchy, and the little girl was just staring at them like, what the fudge is going on? Her spider senses were tingling. She knew something was up. She go, kids, honesty, loud, not so they can hear it, but just to their mom. Like, yo, what's going on over there? Why they holding hands? I've never seen 2 men shopping before. She's just saying the things, all the things. Couldn't have been no more than 6 years old. And the mom just smirked and smiled. I think she might have even said like they're just friends or something like that. My coworker, we look at the mom too and laugh, whatever, and it's just like, even the kids know the darndest, they say the darndest things. They see shit that don't just add up to them. But is that mom not homophobic because she didn't take her time in that moment to explain homosexuality to her 6-year-old daughter? Like, that's up to the parent. That's the problem I have. Rachel, my bad, I called her Lindsay. Rachel and Van, neither of them have any kids. Neither one, they're both childless people trying to police people who have kids and have grandkids. Make that shit make sense. You're trying to police how they parent or what they want to expose their kids to. That's not your responsibility. That's not your business. If the parent doesn't want to do that yet, or if they're not ready to, or if they don't even know how, that's on them. Then Lindsay goes on to say, well, the kids watched The Lion King, and you had to explain that. Nigga, I don't know no black parent that had to explain shit to no kids about The Lion King. We were kids when that shit came out, and we didn't get no explanations of why his uncle ain't fuck with him, and why he killed his uncle. Like, we ain't have no explanations for none of that. I don't know what the hell Lindsay talking about. She must have grew up in a white household that talked about and think piece every single conversation of every cartoon, because that didn't happen nowhere in the hood. We didn't have these things. I watched Bambi in school. That shit is sad. To this day, I call deer meat, Bambi food. When I was a kid, my uncle, the only man who hunted in my family, he'd come find me. I could be at my grandma's house, I could be at my house, it could be a school night. I had an 8 o'clock bedtime. He would come find me and be like, yo, like he was a country bumpkin. Even though he was in New York, he was one of them country Alabama dudes up here, squirrel nuts, squirrel brains, rabbit, had his kids picking the fur off in the house. He had 7 kids with my aunt. He had 6 kids with my aunt. He had a whole other family down south that he had before he got with my aunt. So, of course, you gotta hunt to feed your family. And he would come get me and show me like 6, 4, 5 deer in his truck. In the middle of the night, he would come to shoot at me. Yeah, so, boy, look at this. I got some deer. I went hunting, and this is how you feed your family. All that. So when I was in grammar school in 3rd grade, I think we watched Bambi and stuff like that. Again, a sad moment, but like food in the freezer, meat in the freezer. That's all I could think in my mind. Like, yeah, it's messed up, but people gotta eat. But anyways, but there was no. I'm sure the teacher probably, because I'm sure they showed us that movie in 3rd grade or whatever for a reason. It was part of some type of curriculum. Some sociologists said show kids this so they can learn about death and all that stuff. I'm sure, but then again, it's weird because all Disney movies, which is kind of creepy, all the parents are dead or get killed, and the kids are by themselves. Go figure. There's always that trauma in all their cartoon kid movies and stuff like that. The parents is not around, and somebody's got to teach these kids and mold them, whatever that means. But anyways, I say all that to say is this is an example of these home monitor niggas, because I'm just using an example to branch off to do segments on this particular thing of how these far left niggas are annoying as fuck. They want to police everything about you. Not only that, what you do, but what you don't do. Meaning, if you don't respond to something the way they think you should respond to it, I'm going to chastise you publicly and stand up for the LGBT community and all that stuff. And he even said in the beginning of the movie, I think we should all go out and drove and watch the movie to make it whatever. It flopped. And kids' movies never flop. Kids' movies do crazy numbers because everybody's going, the kids are going, the family's going, and they just make boku money. It didn't. Of course, the snowflakes on the right cried about it, whatever, and whatever it happened. But apparently you liberals who love implementing these things in child movies so they can be exposed to them younger didn't like it because y'all didn't go support it and y'all didn't go see it. Or maybe y'all just don't have any kids, i.e. like both of them on the show have no children, yet they're trying to dictate what a grandfather should do to his kids. And he used examples of uncle and all this. Again, I'm an uncle. You don't want me, if you were far leftist liberal motherfucker, you don't want me teaching your kids anything about any of that stuff. You would want me to respect your wishes and defer to them, which I would respect and do. Because I'd rather have more time bonding with my nieces and getting to know them or having this experience with them that I know they're going to remember for the rest of their life than to me pushing some type of political or, religious views on them, whatever, right? You would think that. Let the parents parent and leave people alone and let them do what they gotta do. I didn't see a complaint. Again, I'll go watch the full video again, but I didn't see bitching or complaining. I just seen a person who was perplexed that I'm in a situation where I have to explain to I don't know how old he was, how it's possible. And then the kid was even like, yo, nah, nigga, chill. Like, no, you gotta explain that. Like, that don't add up. And that's the problem I have with the left and the far left and the whole minor niggas is like, shit don't even be adding up, and they want you to make sense of it. And then now you gotta lie to your kids. This ain't have nothing to do with marginalized people or disenfranchised people or any of that stuff. Yo, some people are gay. They like each other. It is what it is. They can't have babies naturally. They need it to be. Who explaining that to a fucking kid in the goddamn movie? Who explaining all that? Like, who's doing that? Time out, kids. Let's pause the movie so we can explain the LGBT propaganda in these cartoons to expose kids to this shit at a younger age. Who does that? Nobody does that. The fuck is Rachel talking about? You had to explain this to the Lion King. Nobody explained none of that shit to me. We just watched it as kids. If we had questions, that shit, damn near our parents probably told us to shut up. Especially a grandparent, because they don't know. They're just gonna tell you leave them alone or just be quiet. I don't know. What do you think about this, Van Lathen? What do you think about the term hall monitor niggas? You know, the FD signifiers and the Van Lathens and Rachel and who else? That other nigga from the Grits and whatever podcast who crying about black people sending their kids to predominantly white schools, or crying about traditional family structures and capitalism and all that stuff. These niggas, again, they could be on whatever they want. I want them to make a utopia, pick a city, Atlanta, go do y'all weird shit over there, and let us black folks who don't subscribe to this shit leave us the fuck alone. And stop getting on your platforms. I gotta learn them something. I gotta tell them how backwards and wrong and dumb they are for not teaching kids some shit that I don't have kids my damn self, but I'm gonna tell you how to parent yours or your grandchildren. Huh? Fuck out of here with that nonsense.